This was first used as a cemetery back in the year of 1660. Now, before we talk about who's here, there is one thing about this place you must keep in mind as you're looking around. Notice how all the stones are in rows. Well, that wasn't always the case. You see, in the early days of this city, if you were buried here, well, frankly, you were buried anywhere. They dug a hole, you went in, the stone went on top. It was random. However, in the late 19th century, with the birth of the lawnmower, something happened. Now, we had a caretaker in here, and he's got his new push mower, and he's trying to mow the lawn. He keeps running into the stones. What to do? Well, he alerts the city, and the city says, we can help you. For they came in, lifted up all the stones, and rearranged them into rows. So, who is beneath the stones today? God only knows. Remember that. Now, we must remember the Victorians are credited with fixing this place. Before they came in and looked, they looked at a cemetery like a park, but before they came in, this was a dumping ground. It was neglected. But they looked at it as a park, so not only making room for the lawnmower, but then they put in the pathways. And then what they would do is they would use cemeteries as places to have picnics. Oh yeah. They'd bring in their picnic baskets, they'd lay a blanket over a tomb, and enjoy sandwiches, bottle of wine, and have lunch amongst the dearly departed. Oh yes. The other thing they did too, they made sure that our founding fathers, the very famous ones, were better represented. Originally, like Mr. Otis here, probably would have had a little fence post, something temporary, and they said, well, that's not good enough. So they decided to put in much larger stones. All right. So we believe that our founding fathers are where they should be. The problem is that the stones themselves are about 100 years later after their deaths. And this is one of my favorite people. This is Mr. James Otis, and I've always loved this man because, you see, as he got older, he became more and more certifiably insane. Quite frankly, I've always felt a very close connection to this man. Look, you dress like this, and you walk around a major city every day of the week. They just keep upping the meds, and you're just happy all the time. But this is Mr. James Otis, and this poor man was going to have an extremely painful life. He should have realized early on things were not going his way the day that he was struck by lightning. Now, he was a lawyer, but his favorite thing to do in the world was to give speeches. And half the time he didn't even agree with what he was saying. Just wanted to state an opinion. However, there was one subject he would speak out against many times. Now, some of you can see this, but I'll repeat it. Down on the stone, there's a phrase that says, the writs, W-R-I-T-S, of assistance. He hated these. What these were like search warrants. They were used by a redcoat to find smuggled goods in your home. But there were problems. First of all, you did not have to have probable cause to get one. And once you had it, it did not expire. You could just keep going back, keep searching that home over and over. And James says, wait a minute, that goes against our rights to privacy. This is the man that coined the phrase, a man's home is his castle. He also coined the phrase, taxation without representation is tyranny. So one night, James is in a local pub and he's giving a speech. The man in the pub didn't like his opinion, came up to him, took his walking stick, and started beating him over the head with it, and James fell unconscious to the ground. And when he wakes up, he's just babbling nonsense, and he leaves the pub screaming, and he's got a terrible head wound. Ooh, terrible. Yeah, they needed to fix that. Nothing like good old colonial surgery. Put a lead plate in there. Needless to say, things didn't go well afterwards. Certain nights we found him running up and down the streets of Boston shooting guns into the air. And now he was pretty much insane. No one knew what to do with him. I mean, really think about it. What are you going to do with an insane man in colonial America? Well, they found him a job. For they sent him out to the country, where he became a school teacher. Yes, James Otis taught the future of America. And he would do that until one day he would leave his home and it was raining. He didn't like that. He started screaming to the heavens, and the heavens would scream right back, as once again James Otis was struck by lightning and killed. And that would be the end of James. And now you know why I like this guy. And if there's one way I want to leave this world, it's the same way James did. Screaming. Poor guy. But I'll tell you, he had very good moments, though. I mean, not only with the writs and taxes, but back in the winter of 1770, he was involved in spreading some colonial fake news. And he was a good friend of the man that came up with the idea. We will talk about that man in a bit, and we'll bring this man into the story again. But until then, we're going to head up to that tall monument where Mr. John Hancock is buried.